episode 16 of Auto Off Topic. I'm Brad.
And I'm your other host, Andrew.
Welcome, Andrew.
How you doing, Brad?
Excellent. Actually, I'm feeling better finally after a couple weeks. To get a little sniffle going, but overall, I'm
my voice
finally coming out of it. The voice should be normal again.
Kind of crappy, but
Nah, it's much better than
so
it was last week.
if I cough or hack a little bit,
It's funny. I listened back a little bit last week just to see how awful I sounded, and you could tell that I was in cough medicine and cold medicine because normally I talk too fast, and last week I sounded like I was droning very slowly.
real slow. It was good.
So I'm going to try to slow it down closer to that because I actually thought it sounded good, and I've received a couple of comments from listeners and friends that it was easier to listen to me as I was under the weather, but I'll try to slow it down to somewhere in between my normal talk to fast and last week's lethargic NyQuil talk.
No cross country drives this week.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also not underslept this week.
Mm-hmm.
So first and biggest announcement this week is
we have the car contest, coloring contest.
Car coloring contest,
yes.
The Mitsubishi coloring contest. So we had a very technical way of picking a winner. We sat around the auto off-topic tables with our families and put all the pictures in front of everybody, and everybody picked them out for us. So we have 3 winners. One for traditional crayon colored pencil on paper, one for digital, and one for junior listeners or children of listeners, the under 16 category. We will obviously post all 3 of these up. First winner for the standard paper and pencil or crayon or watercolor or whatever they wanted to use, it looks to me like he used colored pencils, would be Steve Boutin. Or I'm assuming I'm pronouncing his name right. Does it seem right to you? Boutin?
Boutin? Sounds right.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I hope it's right because I know he listens.
Mm-hmm.
He colored a picture of the Lancer station wagon, which is picked best by all of our lovely judges.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rob Vale did a digital coloring of the same car. So that was pretty interesting.
It's kind of the coolest picture. Because
the guy's leaning against the car smoking a cigarette. Yeah,
I think it's a pipe, too.
Whatever,
it's
yeah.
like really random.
And our junior winner is Alex Dorado, who is the son of listener Chris Dorado, who colored a picture.
It was the Celeste?
Yeah, it was. And he had a little...
It'd be a Dodge Arrow.
Plymouth Arrow.
Plymouth Arrow,
yeah.
Which is a Celeste, right?
Yep.
On the docks, the boats.
He did, and that was pretty good. And he
added a Mario in there.
He had a little Mario character in the back, which was a little extra push. Mario running across the boat. So all 3 of you guys are winners in our eyes. If we could figure out what all 3 of you are into automotive-wise, we will pick something for each one of you from our stash of stuff and send it out your way, whether it be a model kit or a die cast or something cool that's related to what you like. We'll try to make it something that you're into. I certainly have plenty of choices of cool things to give away between myself and Andrew. And let us know like your general theme of automotive fandom. If you're listening to us, it's probably something old and Japanese. But whatever it is, we'll find something. Whether it's a muscle car or a big truck or an old Japanese car, we get something cool for you.
Mm-hmm.
So send us a message and let us know what you're into, and we'll figure out something to get for you. Trust me, you'll be happy. But thank you for everybody that did submit drawings.
Yes.
It was quite cool. We'll maybe try to make it an annual thing or some kind of contest every year because that was kind of cool. And it got the little listener involvement, which was awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that folder up so you can download those forever. And
yeah, if you're looking for some new art for your living room, just download one and
exactly.
color it, frame it, and hang it. I know I'm going to.
Yeah.
Thank you for coloring things for my living room, everybody.
Yes.
Sorry, Deb.
And hang them on the refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. Pretend that I have lots of children.
Yep.
All right, so that is that. Next up this week, we're going to move right past corrections and omissions because we had a guest last week, and I don't think anybody corrected us on anything. I don't think we realized we were wrong on anything. We probably were. We're just not paying attention. So moving on.
Nope.
Project car updates. Have you done anything?
I was just thinking, I haven't checked if you've emailed us at autoofftopic@gmail.com, I just realized I haven't checked that in a while. I apologize.
If we open that right now and there's more coloring contest winners, you just Steve Harvey'd our whole show.
I hope not. I don't think so.
Yeah, you should probably check that later.
I will. I'll check it later after the show. But
If there is an email there with a coloring contest submission dated before February 15th at 7:48 p.m. Eastern Time,
well,
we'll have to give you a booby prize.
Well, now you're. Oh wait, man. Oh, this isn't live, Dare.
Right, exactly.
All right. So sorry about that. If I haven't answered you in a while, I apologize. I'll go check that later. I keep meaning to, and I keep forgetting.
You'll have to give me the passwords. I can log into that as well.
It's anyway.
Don't say it over the air. All right, project car updates. Andrew, what do you got?
I've been looking on Buy for wheels for the Montero.
Buy is the Japanese Yahoo service buyer.
Yes.
Yes.
So the Montero doesn't have the factory alloys, and he sold it to me on some like kind of random like steel wheels.
Okay. Are they like a spoked steel?
Probably. I haven't even
Nothing
seen
special.
He had like bigger tires and wheels on there, and I was like, whatever, I don't need those. Just keep those.
Plus, it wouldn't fit in the trailer.
Yeah, it would have made it hard to ship. So regardless, I was looking on there for because Montero Sport 15-inch wheels, the 6 spokes, also came on second gen Monteros. Super common wheel, very easy to find those around here.
Yeah, the ones you have in your current Gen 1,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
because the Montero Sports, there's just a lot of them. And
Yeah.
at least in this area, they sold a lot. So
Yeah, they're very common. They're also on the road, too, because they're pretty reliable trucks.
yes, and I could probably find some in a junkyard, but I wanted something a little different. And the early second gen trucks that were SRs, so they had the flared fenders, so they'd be the high end trucks. Those like two-tone ones, like those 90...
the bolt-on flares, not like the box flares.
Yeah. So like the 92, 93s,
Correct.
the really early ones,
Yep.
came with these, I think they're like 5 or 6 spoke,
They're like a two-tone six-spoke.
and they're like a two-tone 6 spoke.
Like
with
a machine finish the paint and insert.
Yeah, with a painted dark gray insert.
Yeah, they're pretty rare in this country.
Yeah, so exactly. So they're hard to find. So I can't find a set of those. But they're pretty common on the JDM trucks. So I was looking on Buy.
I think they were like standard on the short wheelbase trucks over there, weren't they? On the short wheelbase trucks with alloys, which we didn't get a second gen short wheelbase here.
But it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
they're really, really common. So I found like 2 different auctions with sets of 4.
Okay.
And they're each like, I ended up winning them because the way Buy works is that you win the Yahoo auction, and then the seller ships the stuff to the Buy warehouse.
Right.
And then Buy ships it to the United States.
Yeah, because the way Yahoo Japan auctions work, you can't buy directly from Japan and ship outside of Japan. So you have to have like a ghost buyer or a shill buyer, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Or like
a broker.
Yeah, it's like a broker, I guess. So then, I got these for pretty cheap. Like one set was like $70. The other set was like $80.
It's ridiculous.
I was like, sweet.
For 4 wheels.
Yeah, but here's the riff. Is that
and it's not a riff. You're trying to ship 8 wheels from Japan to the United States.
Yeah. But the problem so far, so one of the wheels got shipped to the Buy as 2 probably packages of 2 wheels.
Correct. But I bought wheels from Buy myself a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and that's how they came, was 2 separate packages of 2 wheels.
So they're only 15 by 7-inch wheels with no tires on them.
Yeah, pretty small.
So they're pretty small. So they give you a quote for shipping. Of course, they give you the recommended, which is the EMS Surface Mail, which is like, like a week of shipping.
Mm-hmm.
It's super
And
fast.
it's trackable. And
Yeah, like our model kits usually come that way.
Yep.
And they'll come like within a week. But anyway, so I was like, no, that's too much because it was like $200. I was like, too much to ship these because they're just wheels.
Which really isn't.
I mean,
it's pretty reasonable shipping from Japan.
But it was not $200 for 4. It was $200 for 2.
Oh, okay. You need to do 4 times.
Yes.
So it would have been $800.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was getting a little crazy. So then I was like, well, I'll pick the C mail because it was like $100. But it was interesting because one package of 2 was $100. One package of the other 2 was $130. I was like, all right, whatever.
That's weird.
It is super weird because they should.
It could have been a different size box, maybe.
I guess.
Packing. Who knows?
So I did one of the auction. I paid for shipping that way. So 4 wheels are coming C mail.
Which still, when you think about it, $80 the wheels, $230 to ship them.
Yeah.
You're still into the set of wheels for $300,
Yes.
which is pretty ridiculous.
So then the other set, they're like, well, these are too big to ship via C mail. I'm like,
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm like, you knew. I'm like trying to explain to them, of course, because they are like non-English speakers. I mean, they write to you back and forth in English via email, but I'm trying to explain. I'm like,
via translating service.
yeah, I'm like, this is the same. I just bought the same item from 2 different auctions. Why is one item only, $100 each to ship, and this one now you're telling me has to go UPS, and it's $300 to ship it for
Ouch.
2.
So $600.
Well, yeah. So I was like, well, listen, I need you to consolidate the 2 separate packages into one separate package and try to ship it UPS.
Right.
Because there's no way that UPS shipment will double in price. It will probably be like $100 more, not $600.
Right.
So that's where that is with that. And you're probably like, well, why does Andrew need 8 wheels?
Because he's a hoarder.
But I need 8 wheels because the truck has a full-size spare. And
It was hard to buy one spare. You needed to buy 2 sets.
I figured each set had a couple scuffs on some of the wheels, but like
Built 2
some
out
of the
one.
wheels were really nice. Yeah, so I was going to take the nicest 5 wheels will go in the truck. The other 3 will be spares because they're hard to find those wheels.
Yep.
So that's why I'm doing it that way.
Plus, I'm sure somebody at some point will need a replacement, and you'll have them here in this country already.
Yeah, maybe.
And you can sell them for whatever it costs.
But I also wanted to experiment with Bai. I just want to see what it was like to buy wheels from it.
Yep. And like I said, I done it before myself, but I bought like 13 by 6s, so it was significantly cheaper
Yeah.
because they're small boxes.
I mean, the dollar's fairly strong right now versus the yen,
Right.
so it's not too bad. But I'd probably do it again, but it would be a little bit like more economical because I wouldn't be buying 8 wheels.
You're just buying 2 for, I mean.
Excuse me. So, you've been doing some RC stuff, or?
Yeah, I haven't been doing much with real cars because, it's wintertime, and I haven't had the money to buy things from Bai. So I pulled out some of my scale project stuff, which in this week I've been working on some RC stuff. Haven't touched my RC stuff in probably 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's all pretty old and it's all outdated. I know we've touched on it real lightly before on the podcast, but I was talking to my neighbor who's been into the RC stuff straight through and has all the updated batteries and LiPo batteries and NIM cells, and I still have old NiCads.
Mm-hmm.
So I charged all my batteries that have been sitting in the basement for 10 years, and they charged, and the cars ran.
Nice.
So I was pretty impressed, pretty happy. This was all kind of touched off by, I've been looking at stuff online, being a 1/24th scale model car builder. There's some guys out there now that are building full RC 1/24th scale, like off-road rock crawling trucks. And you can buy the basic kit for like $40.
Cool.
So I did. And now I want to build like a 1/24th scale Montero or something to go on this stupid little truck that I really didn't need to buy, but did anyway. So that's the only update. I just started kind of tinkering around with stuff. I haven't really gotten too into it yet. I'll put some pictures of the 1/24 scale thing up maybe on the podcast page, just so you can see what it is and how ridiculously cool and tiny everything is, and what the future plan is. So stay tuned to that one. Not a big update yet, just time to get back into it. And then hopefully next week we'll have some more real car updates, because I know we're trying to do some work on the Honda that we sold through Vine. Nothing crazy, just doing some tune-up stuff for the new owner.
Mm-hmm.
But no big projects, I don't think, because again, it's wintertime and there's no money. So, moving on.
Yep. But it is wintertime, and I did the... Sorry.
It's my water.
Yeah.
You did the a wintertime driving event.
Yes, that you and I actually did last year
We did.
in the Raider.
We did.
So what we did, it's the... so this year, let's say this year, for the 2017 edition, myself and friend of the show, our friend Jordan, he has the STI that we talk about sometimes that we've been helping him fix up, and he's been using that for Rallycross. And so we wanted to do in New England here, we have the Winter Challenge Rally, which is a TSD, a time, speed, distance rally, run by none other than John Buffum is the Rally Master. So
Rally legend, American rally
American
legend.
Rally, so the most winningest American rally driver in the United
The
States.
winningest, yes.
And he's now into his mid-70s.
Yeah, he's up there. You wouldn't know it, though.
No, he's still on it, real. And so
I'd guess he's late 50s if I just met him.
Yeah, so I believe it's been 13 or 14 years they've been doing this rally, and it is it's basically a throwback to the way rallies were run in the 60s and 70s before stage rally existed.
Right.
TSDs evolved into stage rallies.
Yeah, if you look at footage of American rallies from, or even any rallies from the 60s, you're not going to see full cages and fire suits and helmets. You'll see a driver and a navigator and a T-shirt and a seatbelt. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the way this kind of
that's even the way like the Monte Carlo rally started. Like,
yeah, it's, any of those old rallies. Look at the pictures of like the Mini Coopers when they first ran, and like I said, it was literally just a guy in a T-shirt and a hat.
Eventually, as it evolved, that's where they came up with the timed stages. But
correct. Yeah,
this one is run
precision driving versus
yes
all-out speed.
So this is done in the up in northern Vermont in the remote areas. Back roads, dirt roads, but Vermont has really nice back roads. Like the thing with Vermont is they maintain their back roads really well. They're like almost, you'd be mistaken sometimes. You'd think that they were paved roads,
but it's dirt.
It's dirt. It's really
they don't scrape them down to bare pavement either when they plow them.
No,
bare dirt.
No. They do plow the dirt roads, but also during the summertime they maintain the dirt roads really well.
Well, they plow them, but they don't have like a bare road policy like we have here. They keep snow on the road.
Yeah. So that makes those roads really interesting. And last year, Brad and I decided we were going to do it. That would have been the second year we were doing it.
Yes.
So in the first time we ever ran it was 2013.
Yep.
I ran it in my Galant, and
with Jordan as navigator.
Jordan navigated for us. We made it through the whole rally. We were just fine. I only put it in the snowbank once. I got stuck, and then got pulled out pretty quickly. And then we missed like a couple checkpoints or anything, so we didn't technically...
Due to inexperience.
Yeah, so we didn't technically finish.
Like we have TSD rally experience.
Yes.
We just don't have John Buffum traditional style.
This one is super hard. It's designed to trip up national championship teams.
Yeah, they have tricky sections in it, and also on top of all of that, the cast speed, which continue at speed, so speed you're supposed to maintain. It's kind of like I don't want to say golf because it's not lowest score wins, but it's closest to 0 wins.
Yeah, lowest score wins.
So point A to point B. There's a set time you're supposed to get there. You get points for every second you're over, or points for every second you're under. So it rewards precision driving based on the instructions, and the instructions aren't super clear.
No,
but they have some sections where it will say continue at speed 38 miles an hour because that's a 40 mile an hour road. But that's during ideal situation. This is not ideal weather conditions. It's snowing. It's wintertime. It's middle of the night. Doing 38 miles an hour
you have to
on
slow down
some
and
of these
take
roads
turns.
is hard. Mm-hmm. So you got to make it up some places.
Yeah. So then, where was I going with this? So the first
you go with not stuffing the Galant.
Yeah, so the first time we did it, we missed. I don't know. Somehow we were like just a little bit late, and then we like a checkpoint closed on us or something. Right. And also, those years, he was still doing something that wasn't traditionally done in a lot of TSDs. He was doing traps, so he's purposely putting things in there to trip you up.
Right.
Like he would put a fake street sign or something, or other devious things.
Questionably legal in general.
Yeah. Doesn't matter up there. And so then last year we did it in the Raider.
Yeah, the red short wheelbase Raider.
After we had fixed the valve train.
After we thrashed to get the motor together in time. Yeah.
And you threw some Hella 700s on it.
Yeah, some big 9-inch fog lights.
And then
driving lights.
We just went for it, and it was like the record. It was like the coldest day.
It was like negative 18 Fahrenheit.
Yes.
Which is, I don't even know how much in Celsius. It's negative a lot. So it's negative 13 Fahrenheit. Negative 18 Fahrenheit is cold. It was
insanely cold.
Yeah, and the Raider doesn't have
like 24 hours.
And the Raider doesn't have rear interior in it. It's just sheet metal in the back, and there's 2 giant rust holes on top of the rear wheels.
And there's no headliner.
And
the headliner and the heater works okay.
The heater works very well, but the problem is there's no insulation in the car because there's no interior.
It was very drafty.
I put the day before the rally, I reinstalled carpet under the drivers and passengers' seats, so we'd have at least carpet under our feet to keep our feet a little bit warm. The funniest thing about the whole thing last year when we ran it was so cold outside. Our breath inside makes it warm inside.
Yeah.
That the inside of the windows was freezing from like the middle of the front windows
from the seats back, yeah.
because there was not enough heat in the car to keep the windows from freezing. So we had to scrape the inside of the driver's window
I was
every
dressed
once in a while.
as if I was going skiing. I was wearing boots,
I
wool
don't
socks,
ski, so I was wearing jeans and sneakers.
ski pants, ski jacket, a vest, a thermal underwear. Like I was wearing a lot of layers, and I was still cold. It was very drafty.
It was a little chilly in the truck. I was okay. I mean, I'm used to driving that truck, I guess, and it's always cold in that truck.
Basically, our thoughts were we were going to go with the closest you could get to doing it in a 60s vehicle.
That wasn't our thought until we were doing it and realized how stupid we were. However, there was the team with the XR4Ti that's heater broke at the beginning of the rally.
Yeah.
And they ran all night anyway. So we can say everything that we can want to say, but we still weren't the coldest team out there.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. So this rally goes from 3 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's right to the dark of the night.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because of it.
I remember it was so cold last year, like you'd get out at the controls to get your time, and you'd walk up to the car, and the cold would just soak right through your clothes
Immediately.
and just like stick to you, and then you could hear all the wood in the trees was cracking from the
Because
cold.
it was cold. Yeah, because colder than it ever usually is.
Yeah.
And the other teller of how cold it was because the Raider consumes some oil, obviously. Mm-hmm. I had to add oil at some point during the night, and I had stored the spare oil in the back of the truck where there was no heat and no insulation. And I remember we went to pour it into the engine, and like it came out like molasses from the container.
It was like maple syrup in Vermont. It was just pouring it out.
Yeah, exactly. And then pouring it in, going, "Wow, this does not look like it's going to help the motor at all."
And the biggest bummer was we ran pretty well all night. We only had a couple miss-ups.
So we never went off. We never put the car off the road.
No, because it wasn't that snowy.
And we ran it in two-wheel drive the whole time, too.
Yeah.
Never in four-wheel drive.
But somehow we were either a little bit behind or something, and they closed a checkpoint,
Yeah, we missed one checkpoint.
and we didn't get a finisher plaque.
Yep.
Because we weren't going to win because we never do the math right.
Yeah, we don't do math.
Because that's the other thing. These events are they're really fun, but in order to win them, you have to be very good at math.
And concentration.
Well,
Two things which I'm not good at.
Well, we're fine with the navigation.
Navigation is fine, but concentrating on navigating and doing math at the same time,
Yeah.
I get a little lost.
We're like, I'd say we're pretty damn good at navigating, but the math is where we get messed up.
Yeah,
So
it's nerd racing. I'm not nerdy enough, I guess.
no, we're not. I guess not.
Not saying anything bad about it. We love doing it. It's a lot of fun.
they're-
Everybody that does it is a lot of fun.
They're fun until they're infuriatingly, like, just frustrating.
See, I don't get infuriated because it can never be as bad as the 2013 when I was navigating for Joe and we crashed.
Yeah,
So it'll never be that bad.
no. But
We went like 4 car lengths off the road up to the door
Yeah.
handles in
Yeah.
deep snow. So
it was during a snowstorm that year. So
it was awesome. But and my memory of that year is on the instructions, the directions. At the direction, it was like, right turn at fence, or right turn at T intersection or something. And before it, in brackets, it said Slippy In. Now, bear in mind that the whole entire rally course was snow covered. So if this one particular instruction, which at the bottom of a hill says Slippy In, you know it's going to be icy on top of being snowy. Mm-hmm. And Joe driving was like, "Oh, I'll be fine." And we went into it, and he turned the steering wheel, and we were doing like 30 miles an hour, and nothing. Yet the car just continued
straight.
on straight at 30 miles an hour, and I feel like we caught air going through the snowbank.
all right, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So, 2017 edition, we thought it was going to snow again the whole time because they were forecasting snow all weekend.
Correct.
We didn't see barely a flake of snow up there.
However, most of the roads were still snow covered.
They were snow covered because it snowed a couple days before. So we got up there and we ran it in Jordan's STI that we'd done a bunch of work to.
With snow tires?
Yep. He bought snow tires for it for Rallycross. So 4 nice snow tires. Car had basically has a full interior. Well, the
No back seats.
No back seat.
Yeah, other than that, a full interior.
Other than that, full interior.
Much better heat than the Raider.
Working heat. My feet were warm and toasty all weekend. I also found out he's got Corbeau FX seats in there, FX1s.
Yep.
I don't mind them. I like them. I was quite comfortable for 12 hours in that seat.
They fit wider people?
His driver's seat is wider.
Okay.
The passenger seat is a little bit narrower.
And you were in the passenger seat. But
I was in the passenger seat. It's 20 inches wide.
That doesn't sound very wide.
It doesn't sound very wide, but
I guess because when you buy pants, it's a full circumference. So
yes,
like a 40.
That's why.
It's a 44.
Yeah.
It's a 38 that I wear. It's.
That's why it seems weird,
yeah,
right?
It's half of that is less than 20, so it works.
Because I went out to the Talon because I do want to put these in the Talon. I measured the factory Talon seat, and it's 20 inches.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, but it's
That
kind of
makes
flat.
So how wide is the driver's seat?
The FX. So the FX Pro is the 20, I guess, and the FX, like the FX1 is a 21.
Oh, so it's just a little bit wider.
And they have an extra wide one that's 24.
It's called the FX American Edition.
Yeah, probably. But that won't. I don't think that would fit. If I needed that, I don't think it would fit in the Talon.
But yeah, think about that. Like my pant size is a 38, and I guess 38 is the full circumference. So if you're talking a 20-inch wide seat, it's less than half of 38. So that works out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, just it sounds like it wouldn't work.
Sorry.
Very professional, Andrew. Very professional.
Yeah, I don't. It's been awful. It's been like this all week. So I was trying to do this and call out directions.
Nice.
Yeah, it was getting really annoying after like 12 hours. So anyway, we did pretty well. We didn't do any math. We only had a couple of navigational errors. But for the most part, we stayed on course, and except like towards. Oh, so I should explain the way the navigation works in this TSD is a little different than other ones. A lot of the ones in the SCCA will just be purely tulips.
And tulip is like a dot with an arrow. That is the tulip.
And it accompanies the written direction.
Yeah, it'll say left at Bear, and it'll be like Bear Mountain Road.
Yeah.
Like a left onto Bear Mountain
And
Road.
the dot will be your car, and the arrow is the direction that you need to go.
Yep.
So the
And
beginning.
sometimes there's a mileage call out, and sometimes there's not.
There isn't. There's a whole nuance to this.
Yeah.
But the beginning section of the Winter Challenge Rally is all written. There's no TSDs, no tulips.
No tulips at all.
The second section is a map that has a route traced on it with some accompanying written directions.
Minor written directions. That's kind of my favorite section.
With only a couple points that correspond to the written directions. So we're about halfway through the second part, actually pretty close to the end. We're coming down this steep, it was slippy, it kind of jogged to the right, jogged to the left. Jordan had been doing some left braking all evening, been driving pretty well, and the car it was too slippery, and we were going a little too quick, and it was like the choice was either some trees or a snowbank, and he picked the snowbank, and we just kind of high-centered on the snowbank.
And got stuck.
Which kind of sucked. But apparently it wasn't that long. It felt like an eternity.
It does feel like an eternity.
So a couple of people...
Especially when it's the middle of the night in Vermont and there's no cell phone service.
We were kind of mad because there was a car that saw us go in, like, basically right behind us. And, maybe because they were kind of so close, maybe Jordan was driving a little bit quicker. But regardless, they just kind of blew right by us after they watched us go off. Like,
which is weird because
it's not a competition or a race. Like, just stop and make sure we weren't dead.
Yeah, and the thing that most people would do that. Most people would stop.
Yeah.
It's like a common courtesy thing.
Yeah. So after that, the people, all the other competitors that came by after that stopped to make sure we're okay.
Yeah, maybe it was a rookie in the beginning.
They weren't. That's the thing. They were a team that wins a lot.
We know who it was.
Yeah, we do. So they came by, but like one of the guys was in like a front wheel drive Elantra. They can't pull us out because it's like uphill and it's a WRX that's stuck in a snowbank. It's way heavier than your Elantra.
Front wheel drive Elantra, yeah.
Then these nice guys came by. It was Nick and Reeve, and they were in a Legacy B-Spec.
Okay, so similar weight and power.
Yeah, so they were like, no, we'll take a time allowance, we'll pull you out. We're like, sweet. So they grabbed he spins it around. I grabbed, I had a Smitty-built kinetic strap I bought to keep in the truck.
Kinetic straps we learned about when Joe and I stuffed ourselves in the snow because they worked awesome.
Yeah, they're supposed to work awesome.
It's like a giant elastic band.
Yeah, basically the car that you're attached to that's trying to pull you out will run out the slack, and it's like a giant bungee cord. And as the car reaches the end of the slack, it, in theory, should pull on the car that's stuck and yank it right out and gives you more force, right? I don't know. We never actually used this strap before. As soon as they went go, it wasn't even a violent failure. It just pulled apart like taffy.
Oh, that's weird.
Just separated, and just pulled apart. I was like, oh.
So if you're going to buy a kinetic strap, you don't buy a Smitty build.
Nope, it's a piece of shit. Don't buy it.
Which, after you told me that story, I noticed when I was getting in my truck that my steps to get in the truck are Smitty built steps. So now every time I get in the truck, I'm nervous they're just going to fall apart on me.
Fall over. I don't know. That was Jordan's awning is a Smitty built, the one that failed in the rain.
Yeah, it failed in the rain too. Yes. Yeah. I guess the internet calls them shitty built for a reason.
Yeah. So luckily they had, we had some extra toe straps, but they were buried. So they grabbed theirs because it was right accessible.
Nice.
Just an actual toe strap, not a recovery strap, and just yanked us out. We had some traction boards under the tires that we had brought.
Oh, you brought the actual off-road traction boards?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. So we got out. I was so happy they got us out. I was kind of bummed though because I was like, shit, we're gonna be late. We're not gonna make the checkpoint. But we weren't stuck that long. It felt like we were stuck for like half hour, but it really wasn't.
It was probably 5 minutes.
So then we come around the corner, and there was a checkpoint, like right there. We're so close to getting to the checkpoint.
Oh, really?
So obviously we're super late. They took a time allowance, and I heard him. They were like, he was like 12 and a half minutes. I was like, oh, we're only stuck for that long? Like at least like maybe 15 minutes?
I'll say a little longer because you'd wait for them to get there.
Yeah.
So you took a 15-minute time allowance, which is probably the maximum, right?
We didn't take one. You can't. We learned that you can't actually take one for your own mistake.
What do you mean?
So if you get lost or something, you're not really supposed to take one.
Oh.
No.
I don't understand how that works then.
No.
I thought that's what they're designed for.
I thought so too, but no, that's in the rule, the real rules. That's not. Nobody ever challenges us because we're not that good.
Yeah, because we don't win.
No. But apparently you're not supposed to.
Okay.
So
what are they for? Just for helping
they're
somebody?
for if you help someone or you get stuck behind a car that's not in the rally going super slow or like a train crossing, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we've always been encouraged to take them too. When we get somewhere, I'd be like, if you don't take one, they're like, no time allowance?
Yeah.
So, okay.
I mean, you could take one if you know that you are driving slower than what the speed was because the CAS was too high.
Right.
Then yes.
Okay.
But you're not supposed to take one for getting lost.
Well, is it stuck in a snowbank the same as lost?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
So it doesn't matter.
Regardless.
It was cool. It was cool because we still made that checkpoint. We really weren't that late. Basically, once you get to a checkpoint, it restarts. You're on the next leg.
Yep, goes back to zero.
And we just kept going, and we just made...
It's like the golf analogy.
Yeah.
Each hole is like a leg in the thing, so every hole counts towards the end.
And the important thing was that we made every checkpoint. We weren't trying... That was exactly what we were trying to do going into it. We just wanted to make every single checkpoint, and we got a finisher plaque, which is hard to get.
Yeah, that's your first one.
Because there were some people there that were experienced rallyists that do much better than us, and they didn't finish.
Good. So not good that they didn't finish, but good that you feel accomplished this year.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've run it twice and I've never finished, and you run it twice and you've never finished.
Yeah, exactly.
So third time's a charm, huh?
Yeah. No.
Well, I couldn't unfortunately run it this year just because money and time did not allow. But hopefully next year I'll be going.
Yeah.
And we'll have something up there interesting to do it in.
Yep.
Something old again because you had way too easy this year with heat and comfortable seats.
Too easy.
Traction control and not
No
traction control, but
Four-wheel
still,
drive.
yeah, 4-wheel drive, nice tires. We need to do it in true auto off-topic shitbox style. Maybe next year we'll do it with the Starion.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Well.
So anyway, congratulations on finishing.
Thanks.
That's an awesome accomplishment. I can't wait to finish it myself and get a plaque from my toolbox.
So let's do. It's a listener question week because we haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, because the guest last week we didn't do it.
So let's do some listener questions.
Which we got a few.
Let's keep this to like an hour because I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out.
Sure. We're probably about 45 minutes now.
No, about 35. So
okay, good. We're good then.
It'll be perfect. So first question is from Arizona Castro, and he wants to know what is your best, worst DSM memory? First start, time of belt break, kill story, accident.
I feel like we've covered this in our stories about our own cars.
Yeah,
I mean, worst DSM memory is my first broken timing belt.
probably.
Nah, you know what? Probably not the first. It's probably like the third broken timing belt was my worst memory. And the best DSM memory. Okay, let me change the subject completely. My biggest memory with the car is I learned how to drive standard transmission on my DSM. And I remember as I first got the car and not being a experienced 5-speed driver, I remember getting into second gear was a bit challenging. And I used to have to like grit my teeth every time going into second gear. Turns out that the problem was not with my driving, it was with the transmission. I just didn't realize that because I'd never driven a manual transmission before. So that would probably be my biggest memory of the car is learning how to drive with a broken transmission. So that's my biggest memory of the car. So again, worst memory, yeah, breaking it. Best memory, just driving it.
Yeah, probably just driving it.
Yeah, just I haven't had one for a long time, and I'll have another one someday because it was a great car, despite all its faults. I miss the car terribly, and there's nothing else to say about it. It's it's just they get under your skin and they just stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Probably hydrolocking mine. That was pretty bad.
hydrolocking it, yeah, that was probably the worst memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's do. So Rob Val asks.
X.
Yep. Sorry, I've got a cough drop now to try to help me out. Are you guys keeping up with the Right to Repair initiative in Mass?
No.
I haven't heard about it in a while.
I remember when it first came out. I remember the stories around it. It was a big deal for. I mean, I worked at a dealership at the time too, so or maybe I worked at a body shop somewhere where it was a thing. It's hard to stay involved in that, especially where I'm into old cars. It really doesn't affect me directly right now. Obviously, I support it. I don't want to have to be forced to go to a dealer for anything ever. And I'm sure someday in the future I'll probably have modern cars. So I haven't been keeping up with it at all, though. I'm sorry, Rob. I don't have a good answer.
I mean, a lot of the stuff, it's federally mandated currently that all the EPA requires manufacturers to have, repair information available. So you can usually find a factory website.
Yeah, most of them do. And if you don't have the factory website, you can find somebody who has access to like an all data or something that will have the information that you're looking for. So the information is out there, and it's good that the EPA does that. Hopefully they stick around long enough to keep doing that. EPA is kind of a, it's an interesting topic. That could be a whole topic of discussion on a podcast sometime, is how the EPA is to a car enthusiast, because it's both necessary and a hindrance, I guess. We understand why it's a hindrance, being, we need to care for the environment, but it can be a hindrance, especially if you live in a place like Massachusetts or California where they have very strict emission standards. So, not that I have a problem with the EPA mandating I run a catalytic converter on my car, because I feel it's a socially conscious thing to do.
So I think so. This question is really for you. I'm going to read it to you, and then you can answer. Has there been consideration of importing cars from Japan, Europe, Australia, etc., as a means of building an inventory for Vine, or do you prefer to hunt down USDM cars to sell?
That question was asked by Steve Booten. I don't really like to talk about Vine as a rule on the podcast. I don't mind mentioning it at the beginning and the end as advertisement, but I like to keep it separate because I don't like to make this podcast an hour-long advertisement for my business. I'll answer the question quickly. Yes. I have some contacts I've been making. I know some people who are going to be helping out with that, and that will be happening in the future. The only reason it hasn't happened much yet is just it's the financial outlay that it will cost. I have been involved with importing a car from Canada from Japan for a friend of the podcast, the Mitsubishi Delica. And I have been involved with our other friend Al in importing both a Mark I and a Mark II Escort. So there's a lot of connections there, and we'll get to that eventually. It takes money, it takes time, and that's it. But as I said, I don't like to promote too much during the podcast, the Vine thing. But I will answer the question.
So the next question comes from our guest from last week, Jeremy Nutt. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, you should, because it was really good.
It was really good. I mean, it was really good because we weren't talking the whole time.
Mhm.
Somebody else was talking the whole time.
That's right.
And he has a lot. He has different knowledge than we do, and he's very knowledgeable car guy.
Yes, it was a great episode. I really had fun. So anyway, Jeremy asks, he said, what car can you buy right now for $5,000 or less that you think will only go up in value in the next 10 years, assuming you do nothing to it but let it sit in the garage?
I think we both have the same answer for this.
What's that?
944.
Probably.
I mean, the way the Porsche market is going, it only makes sense. That's the next one to go up.
I guess.
And you can still buy a decent non-turbo driver for $5,000.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other cars that might. First-gen RX-7s, I think, are one of them. A nice low-mile first-gen RX-7.
There's a lot of low-mileage ones kicking around.
And you can buy them for $5,000. We'll buy you a nice,
like the nicest one.
Not the nicest one.
Right,
It'll buy you a nice, like 60 or 70,000 mile car. That I think will definitely go up.
I don't know if
Especially
you want to let them sit.
honestly,
Rotary? No.
if it's only got 60,000 miles on it now, my father's only has 20,000 miles on it, and the thing still starts and runs every time.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear all the stories about rotaries. I mean, you don't want to let any car sit. You want to start it up, exercise it. Don't obviously drive it every day.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had 2 low mile RX-7s myself, and my father's had some very low mile RX-7s, and we've not had any problems that are any different than any other car.
I can't think of much else that's cheap right now.
In that $5,000 range, if you bump up to 10, there's probably some more. But at $5,000, I think that anything early 80s, Japanese, interesting, maybe some 280Zs, the turbo models, those might go up in value a little bit.
So the Z31?
No, before the Z31. The one, it's like the 240Z, 260Z, 280Z, and then it went to the 280ZX, which still had like the scooped headlights.
Oh,
They were bigger. They're more of a touring car than a sports car.
not like the 80s redesign, like the still
Just before that, like the 83.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe. Yeah, they're not as pretty.
They're not as pretty, but a nice 2-seater manual transmission turbo car with T-tops, I think is going to become a desirable car in the future. Again, because the 240, 260Zs are going up so high in value now that people are just going to be going to the next best thing. Other Japanese cars in that same range, first gen Supras. Second gen Supras. First gen Supras are kind of odd, and they might not go up very much.
Which is weird because I like the way they look.
The first gen Supras?
Yeah.
Are you thinking about the 78, 79 body style? Or are you thinking about the pop-up headlight, like 82, 83?
Oh, all right. The pop-up headlight one.
That's second gen.
Oh, okay.
Those are the ones that I think.
I'm thinking of third gen Supras then.
Yeah, third gen Supras are like the 1990 body style. Which
Yeah.
are also another car that's pretty inexpensive right now. And if you can get a nice, decent, low mileage turbo car and preventatively change the head gasket, because they all unfortunately have head gasket issues because the factory spec on the head bolts wasn't tight enough. So I would just change that first with some good head bolts and a new gasket. Those will go up too, but the second gen Supras, the ones with and without flares, I think are going to go up in value, and you can still buy those in the $5,000 range.
What about like oh my gosh, I just forgot what I was going to say.
Well, that's not good then.
Nope. Second gen RX-7s. No?
Yeah, yes and no. The ones that are going to go up in value are the anniversary editions and the turbos, and those are already over $5,000 for a clean one. So
okay.
second gens are worth more than first gens right now for top of the line ones. I mean, you can get a base model second gen for dirt cheap, but I don't think a base model second gen is ever going to be worth much.
Oh, Celica GT4. That's what I was going to say. Like,
can you find one for $5,000 anymore? A nice one? I mean, they've gone up too.
Yeah,
I think
like
so.
Even the early ones, the ST.
I think the early ones are the 165s.
Yeah,
I think that they're already over $5,000 for a clean one. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't shopped for them for a while, but I remember when I was looking at one many years ago. This was in like 1999. The car was like $4,800. So I mean, they're kind of a rare niche car, and they've kind of held on to their value. As much as I want to sit here and say, all-wheel drive Talons and Eclipses and DSMs and
Maybe a Galant VR4, maybe.
Maybe a Galant VR4,
'Cause in 10
and
years-
maybe a stupid low mileage DSM.
In
But
10
even those are already over $5,000 too.
In 10 years, maybe they won't be around.
But then who will want them?
So.
Yeah, I think anything in the $5,000 range is going to be worth more just based on inflation.
Yep.
But not those are the cars that I think are going to go up appreciably worth buying as an investment.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not as an investment like, you know, a muscle car or an exotic car, but something a little more of an investment, sure.
Mm-hmm. So Jeremy had a second question. He said, so I guess this is sort of a like theoretical question. Pretend you are your 17-year-old self, knowing what you know now. What area of the automotive world would you try to pursue as a career?
I would have gotten into restoration early.
Yeah.
I would have gotten better at body work, but not crash work. Just restoration. I would have immersed myself more in vintage cars as a career versus working at car dealerships where they sell new cars and new car parts. That's it. I would have, because I went into it initially as I need money. I need the most money I can get quickest. I'm going to work at a car dealership and I'm going to make money. I think if I could go back and even take a hit financially and work as an apprentice somewhere and learn the craft, I would do that.
Yeah, because even in the last 10 or 15 years, the money that people are spending on restorations has gone up significantly. Yeah. No, that's good.
So I think I would do that, and that would give me the freedom to work with the cars that I like every day, work with the kind of people I actually like every day, and enjoy it. Because, you know, being a car guy, working in a car dealership, it's kind of stifling. Because most people that work there could give a crap less about the cars that they're selling or cars they've ever sold or anything to do with cars.
Mm-hmm.
So being a true car enthusiast, it's hard to work in the automotive field without getting burnt out pretty quick.
Yep. I'd probably go more of a technician route.
Okay. So similar, but more on the working on cars.
Yeah, well, just so I could have I can do it pretty well, but I don't have like a professional resume for it. So
Right. But I think it's the same thing. I think you're still more skilled than like a lube tech at Jiffy Lube. So
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, but they have that on their resume as they're a lube tech at Jiffy Lube. They can go to a car dealership and get a job as a mechanic.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have that resume.
I don't have any background.
You're a better
of
mechanic
being
than they are.
Yeah, a technician. Oh, I know. There's been several times when I was working at the dealership, you'd meet technicians. You're like, nah, I know a lot more.
I know more than you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one particular technician who will remain nameless, who, when I worked at the Mitsubishi dealer, was tasked to repair the active aero on a 3000 GT.
Yeah.
And he took the spoiler off the car and he flipped it upside down and put it on top of his workbench to work on the electric motor at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Painted surface down.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And that was just one of many things that particular guy did.
I watched the guy try to take a rear wiper off of a Voyager minivan with an air chisel.
Oh.
So yeah, he naturally slipped and went right through the back window.
Right through the glass. Well, actually, if you're trying to take the rear wiper arm off of a first-gen Mini Cooper or a first-gen BMW Mini Cooper, you have to chisel them off. Because the material that the post is made out of and the bolt is made out of, they become one. So they always break. At working at the body shop, we bought a lot of used rear glass just to get a good wiper motor. Weird. Just take them apart. Yeah.
Weird.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
So, listener Joe Stanley, he says, I ran out of real questions and dumb questions to ask, but here's a quick story you might appreciate. So he moved from here out west to California.
Yeah, to L.A.
And he says, the other day I took my car to the shop to fix an issue with it starting. Turns out it was the battery, I guess. They pop the hood and take a look inside. One of the mechanics asks, are you from back east? And the rest is a dead giveaway. And, of course, It is. And
which is the whole basis of our podcast.
Yeah.
The life of an automotive enthusiast in the Rust Belt.
Yes.
So, yes, Joe, that is definitely a story we see. And that's why we go to California to buy cars. Yes. And if I went to California to buy a car and I bought your car, I would be pissed.
All right. So let me open up Instagram. First time we tried asking questions on Instagram, got a good response. So I think we'll keep doing that.
Yeah, excellent.
So first,
well, it's funny because Facebook has that whole pay-to-play thing now, so you can put a post up on Facebook
hard.
and get no responses.
So annoying. So Maxer asks, he says, what's the first car that you drove that changed the perception of speed for you? I think we covered that like the third episode.
You know, it's because we're not we're not automotive journalists. We don't get to drive a lot of fast
No.
cars. So we get to drive them when they're old used cars. And we drove that Z06.
Yeah.
And that changed the perspective of speed for dollar for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that that's a car you can buy for sub $20,000 and it goes that fast is pretty insane.
And handles that well.
And it handles that well. I mean, I've ridden in faster cars.
Yeah.
I don't think I've driven faster cars. I mean, I've driven some fast cars in a parking lot.
Yeah.
But I've never driven. I'd never been handed the keys to a car that was that fast and just told, "Go drive this as hard as you can."
Well, the other weekend when I went down to the Rallycross to meet Jordan, and I went for a ride along in his STI, that kind of blew me away a little bit because it'd been so long since I've been in an STI, and then on dirt, how hard it accelerated. That was pretty surprising. Like I was not expecting that.
But I used to own one, so it's
I
not
did
like-
used to own one, but it'd been so long, it was like, oh wow.
Well, it's, I used to own an Evo.
Yeah.
And I think on paper, acceleration of the Evo and the Z06 are probably pretty close.
Yeah, I mean,
acceleration wise, like
0 to 60. I mean, the Evo and the STI
they
were
had the
like
they had-
4.5.
Yeah, they had traction advantage over the Corvette, but they don't have that.
So I don't know what a Z06 is. Look
But
that up.
they don't have that instant torque feeling that the Corvette has anyway. I mean, I own a V8 car, so I'm not, not used to having a little bit of
STI
torque.
has more torque. It felt torquier down low.
Well,
Always.
not than the Corvette.
No. But than an Evo. Yeah. But what was the 0 to 60 on a 02? The 400 horsepower 06?
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Obviously, good podcast fodder typing on the computer.
No, we're gonna find out.
Um,
I'm curious now because I'm pretty sure that the STI and the Evo were like right around 4.5. Which at the time when you that was a lot, and they'd both run. The STI and the Evo would be like 13.1 in the quarter, and they'd run like a 0 to 60 in like 4.5. But I feel like the Z06 was like a 12-second car in the quarter mile.
It probably was. I mean, my Evo stock was I ran 13.3 at 101.
Yeah,
So I assume that high end wise, it's going to beat that because it's
100 horsepower more.
it's
and
100
a lighter
horsepower
car.
and it's a lighter car. It
Yeah.
doesn't have the traction off the line for the 0 to 60, but my computer just froze here on Chevrolet Blazer 0 to 60 times, so that's not helping us.
No,
So
why the hell do you want to know that?
I don't know, but the website showed it to me, so and that's where it froze. It was like, nope, you can't go any further. Let's see, 2002 Z06 from Motor Week test back when it was new. 0 to 60 time, 4.2 seconds, and a 12.5 in the quarter. So that's those numbers don't sound blistering fast now when you talk about a 2.2 0 to 60 time in the new Teslas, but to me, 4.2 seconds 0 to 60 and a 12.5 quarter mile car that you can buy for sub $20,000.
No, back then that was insanely fast.
It is fast. That's a fast car. So I mean, that's a $50,000 car when it came out too. So,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, that
Yep.
that car probably was the biggest mind blowing thing that I've driven. And I've driven some supercars and stuff, but I've never had a chance to drive them on the open road, unfortunately. And I've ridden in some 9-second street cars, and just not driving it doesn't give you that same feeling.
So, Biz Piz, his question is, he says, CSM, DSM, GVR4. So let's translate those. So it's what? Colt,
Yeah, Colt Mirage.
Colt Mirage, DSM, so Diamond Star Motor, so a Eclipse Laser Talon.
Yep.
Galant VR4, GVR4.
Yep.
And he says, Mod 1, Daily 1, Part 1 out. Which would you choose and why?
Okay. Well, this is hard because I don't want to part any of them out because I love my CSM.
Well, that's the game.
GVR4s. This is kind of like an F Marry Kill.
Yep.
I guess I would have to. I have a family, so I probably have to daily the Galant.
Okay.
How mod can we go on the CSM? Can I all-wheel drive swap the thing?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, if I could all-wheel drive swap a CSM, I'd probably do that because they're just dumb.
Yeah.
Like a 1991 hatchback would be really cool with a full. That's what I would do. I would part out the DSM because we're in New England to be a Rusty shitbox anyway.
Yep.
I'm going to part out the DSM
Okay.
and run the drive line in the CSM
Okay, fair
as
enough.
a toy, and I'm going to daily the Galant.
Okay, fair enough. So I mean,
And then I'm secretly going to buy another DSM because I can't
okay.
do that.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, the question's a little redundant for me because the DSM is modded.
Yeah.
Mine is actually.
Yep.
Uh,
The Gallant is your summertime
I
daily.
sort of summertime daily, yeah, the Gallant,
And
and
you
then
don't care about a Colt.
I don't. They're cool, but I guess I'd part it out.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
anyway,
that's good because I need your parts.
yeah, there we go. Now,
That's an interesting question. It's a very inside Mitsubishi question.
it is.
But I like it because and that way we can both have our Gallant VR4s, and then we can have something different. You have a
Yes.
Talon, I'll have my Colt GT.
Yes, and then Throttle by Cable asks, why Mitsubishis?
No reason because I bought that Talon and fell into the wormhole.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Everybody loves an underdog story, right?
I guess, yeah.
They're kind of underdog cars. They have with
So we grew up as Red Sox
with
fans.
flashes
so-
of with little flashes of genius.
yeah,
every now and then.
Much like being a Red Sox fan in the
Yeah.
80s, they were always the losing team. And we had the flash of greatness in like 86 where we almost got to the World Series, and then we didn't get to the World Series. We didn't finish it off. So it's kind of an underdog story, and I think it's all my fault.
They're also inexpensive.
They were they're expensive, but I think it's my fault because I bought the Talon, and Andrew was young and impressionable, and I enabled him to buy a Talon. And next thing you know, we got sucked into the world of Mitsubishis, and we met a lot of cool people through Mitsubishis too. So that kind of solidified it as well. I mean, I've dabbled with Volkswagens as well, and I've met a lot of cool people through the Volkswagen world. So that's kind of what's kind of stuck me with each one of them. I remember at one point I was buying a new daily. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy a Volkswagen because I enjoy hanging out with the Volkswagen people. This is before the current crop of Volkswagen kids.
Yeah.
But
So, next question. Stunt Nuts 4130. What do you think is the reasoning behind modern cars that do not have auto headlights, but do have instrument cluster lights that turn on automatically, besides to make people forget to turn on their headlights at night themselves?
I don't know, but it's infuriating.
Oh, it's
We have a pretty good story about that. Remember
Yes.
in Lynn?
so my Evo,
Which had DRLs. So the headlights would come on, but no tail
2008. So it had DRLs.
Yep.
It did not have auto headlights, and
Dash lights were on.
and it had a light up instrument cluster.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I think I had the headlights on. Whatever. We're in Lynn, the town next to where we live, and we stopped for food, and then we picked up the food. We were going to leave to go to a friend's house. It was you,
Stephanie.
yeah, my fiance, not at the time, but she is now. So we're all in the car, and we're going over to their house. And in this city, they never really pull you over for anything because they've got other issues.
Yeah, it's a higher crime rate city than
So
most
for
of the
some
area.
reason, it was right around twilight too. It wasn't even dark.
It was dark. I think it was dark. We were in front of the high school.
It was twilight. It was still kind of light out.
All right.
So he pulled me over because I didn't have any taillights. But he was confused because I had headlights
And no taillights.
and no taillights.
Yeah.
And then when we pulled over, I realized what happened. I flipped the headlights on. So then but he must have been looking down, running plates. Because when he got up, he was got to the window. He's like, "Your taillights are on now." I pulled it over because they weren't on.
Right. But then he asked you if you license and registration, and what did you hand him?
I just out of habit from muscle memory, pulling things out of my wallet. I my
Going to
debit card.
the drive-through, you hand him your debit card, and he's like, don't know what I'm going to do with this.
Yeah.
It was like a cash bribe, but a debit card.
He's like, "Well, I can't take your debit card, but I'll take your license." I was like, "Oh, sorry."
So I don't know what the theory is behind that, other than it's super infuriating. And it kind of goes with the modern cars that have the key fobs, where you can start the car and then walk away with the key, and the car will run, and somebody else can drive off in the car and not be able to start it again later on that day because you have the key.
No, but you see it all the time now. Is people will just be driving down the highway, no running lights.
Yep.
Some really dim DRLs.
Yep.
And some dim person behind the steering wheel.
Not always dim person. You did it yourself, Andrew.
That was a joke. So, Throttle by Cable he has another question. It says, "Oh, and you're given $25,000 and invited to the Optima Ultima Streetcar Challenge. What do you build and bring? The build car purchase has to be included in the budget."
Well, I mean, there's already one in it. I want to run a Starion.
Yeah.
And I know that the car in the Ultimate Street Car has a lot more than 25 grand into it.
Yeah.
But I don't think my ultimate goal would be to win the Ultimate Street Car. It would just be to compete and have a good time. Because I think that it's pretty much understood that with a budget of 25 grand, you're not going to win the event.
Oh, I don't know. If you could spend, because your Blue Colt was what, a couple $1,000?
Not even.
So that leaves you with $24,500 to.
But think
to
of
spend
what
on
that
it?
car would require to become to the same level as Lamborghini or a brand new Z06.
Oh, is that what's in those now?
Anything.
Oh,
it's Ultimate Street Car. It's anything with a
I
plate.
thought it was what became of the Sport Compact Car Ultimate Street Car Challenge. I thought that's
I
what
think
it
it's kind of the same level of that, kind of same design of events.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you've watched videos of it, there's like full on supercars. Like there's guys out there with like, Porsche RSRs and Viper Club Sports. So it's not the same as it used to be.
Well, in that case, I would buy a C5 fixed roof coupe,
Yep.
and buy a bunch of used Z06 parts.
Some big old sticky tires.
Big old, yep,
That's all you could do.
yeah.
And I think even at that, you still would be hard pressed to compete looking at the stuff in that challenge.
I don't know, because you could
I don't know
Really?
if you've looked at this thing lately. I mean,
There's some-
it's mostly 6-figure cars that compete.
really. I
If you
have
watch,
to look at it again.
again, going back to the whole Roadkill thing, if you watch the latest episode of Roadkill, they brought 2 beater cars to it, just kind of as a joke. They brought a first-gen RX-7 and a first-gen Civic to this event, and obviously it was laughable how much slower they were than everybody else, but it's quite eye-opening to see what competes in this event now. So I don't think at 25 grand it's reasonable to win the event.
I think if I spent,
And I think if I'm spending 25 grand on a car, I want it to be something that I can just do everything with.
I don't know, if I spent 15 grand on a C5 Vet,
Yep.
you could do a lot for $10,000 for that car. Make it pretty damn fast.
Yeah, you could. Absolutely you could.
That'd probably be the best weapon.
There's no doubt that's probably the best use of your money.
Yeah,
I'm dumb, and I would want to build something that I want to drive all the time.
I would drive that all the time.
I'd take my White Stallion, narrow body, and LS1 swap it, and just call it a day.
Okay. All right. One last question, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but I think it's Caillou Shudan. Caillou Shudan. That sounds right.
Oh, it's Kayusha is old.
Okay.
So he talks about old cars. So Kayusha is old car. So Kayusha Dan is old Dan, old car Dan.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway,
So he says, what secondhand cars have you gone to look at, wanted to buy, but didn't end up buying for whatever reason?
that list is 100 years long.
No, but I think the most recent one was it that 5 Series?
That was like 7 years ago, Andrew.
Yeah.
There's been a lot since
What else has been
between
there?
and then. I mean, I was just looking at trucks for months.
Okay. Enthusiast cars that you wanted to keep,
Um,
because the trucks are boring.
I guess not many since then. You're probably right then.
Yeah.
So probably that 5 Series, and we didn't buy it because the car looked really
It
nice.
presented really well?
Presented really well until you looked under the back and realized it didn't have any frame rails.
No, they were totally rotted away.
Even though the rest of the car was no rot anywhere. The floors were fine. The front frame was fine. It was just the rear frame rails between the rear axle and the rear bumper. This is like an 86 or an 87 528i.
I'm trying to think of what I looked at recently.
But we don't... Oh, you looked at the Montero.
Oh,
You were going to buy it. You made an offer, accepted it, then you couldn't get a title.
yeah. I mean, that was different, but
Yep. I remember my biggest regret one would probably be when I was a teenager. I was probably 17 or 18, and my father was really still kind of in control of my large purchases. And he and I went and looked at an 83 Rabbit GTI. This is before I bought the Talon, so it probably would have changed my whole direction with cars. I'd probably be more into Volkswagens than Mitsubishis. The car had 390,000 miles on the shell, but it was fully redone. New motor, new transmission, all new brake lines, new carpet. The car was done. It was nice. It was a really well put together car. But my father at the time looked at it as a 300,000 mile plus used car and didn't want me to buy it. So that's and at the time that was a $2,400 car.
Yeah.
Which even with that mileage is now not $10,000 car, but it's probably a $6,000 or $7,000 car because it was 100% redone. It wasn't like it was an old beater. It was a full restoration car. So the only thing that hadn't been done was it had some faded paint on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
But the car, it presented really well. It sat nice. It looked nice. It sounded nice. I still remember it had a little Tectonics exhaust sticker on the quarter glass.
Yep.
And I was like, this is the car. This thing is awesome. And I had the whole thing built in my head. And if I was like, 390,000 miles, we can't buy this thing.
Yep.
So then he pushed me to buy my Talon, and then that car broke all the time. It cost me a ton of money, and you might as well have bought the Rabbit. But
You probably
that's
should have
the
bought
biggest regret.
that Auto Bianchi that you could have bought. That was kind of neat.
Yeah, the A110 Abarth. Abarth, oh, sorry. Abarth. I guess that's how you say it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have bought that because that was cheap money at the time, too. It was like $4,000.
I'm trying to think. We went
And those
and
worth a
looked
lot of money.
at. I helped Jordan look at 05 Xterra for another friend.
Yeah, that was rusty.
It wasn't so much the rust that bothered me.
Check engine light.
It was the weird check engine light.
Oh, and the
then-
airbag light.
And the airbag light. He's like, no, it's like the.
He's like, that's normal. Don't worry about it.
He's like, that's the tire light. I was like, that's an airbag light, dude.
Why is it in front of the driver in
Yeah.
the picture?
And he just had like tape over it. I was like,
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen for me.
it was kind of weird.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of cars that I haven't bought. It might sound funny to say that I don't not buy a lot of cars, but I'm not always going and looking at buying cars. It's usually I've done enough research that by the time I find the car I'm looking for,
Usually ask the owner enough questions. Like,
yeah, I usually wind up buying that car.
yeah, the Montero that I have now, as it sat when I bought it, I probably shouldn't have bought
Yeah,
it.
you probably shouldn't have bought that one.
Yeah, it's really nice now, so it's for sale. It's much nice. It's like
Yeah, but
100 times nicer.
You're probably $1,000 more into it than you're asking
yes,
for it too.
yes, exactly.
Because it was probably the wrong car to start with.
Yeah.
But you saved that car.
I did save it.
So yeah, I don't. There aren't many cars that I haven't gone and looked at and then not bought.
No.
Except
Nope.
when it came to buying the pickup truck, I probably looked at 25 of them before I found the one that I bought. And even that isn't perfect. It's had its problems. So
Anyway, that's all the questions.
excellent. That was a good amount of questions this week.
It was a good amount of questions. I'm sorry about my voice. It's kind of shitty, and I'm sorry about all the coughing and stuff. But
Well, the coughing is the problem in the voice.
yeah,
And I noticed I'm talking fast again because
it's
that's
probably
what I
like
do.
maybe it's when we drink coffee and we have caffeine. Last week we're slowing it down. We were drinking beer.
Oh, last
man.
week
Yeah.
I had been up for 24 hours straight,
true.
and I was on cough medicine.
Oh, we only had one beer each, but
Yeah.
no good beers.
I was definitely lethargic overall.
So anyway, this episode, of course, is brought to you by
Vintage Imports of New England, vintageimportsne.com. We now offer automotive shipping, also motorcycle shipping, ATV shipping, snowmobile shipping. If it fits, we'll ship it.
Yep.
We have a enclosed 20-foot trailer, so we can carry pretty much anything from a small SUV to almost any car that's not a 59 Cadillac.
8PY.
8.5 feet wide by 20 feet long, 20 feet plus. It's got an 18-inch V-nose on it, too. So we can put a lot of stuff in there. So let me know what you need shipped somewhere, and I'll give you a pretty competitive quote, I think. VintageImportsNE.com, Vintage Imports of New England on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep. And you can follow Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook, Auto Off Topic on Instagram. Please like, review, share on iTunes.
Yeah, I've noticed we don't have any iTunes reviews.
I know.
Somebody
That'd be
should
really nice.
somebody should do that for us.
Please.
Because we can't do it.
Nope,
So
we can't. Please.
start that.
That'd help us out. Move us up the rankings.
It would help us a lot. We're not even listed in the rankings.
No. Get us on there. Get us on
Our
the board.
Measly 300 listeners a week.
Whatever. We appreciate all listeners.
We do. No, I'm not saying measly at all. 300 listeners a week is amazing for our 16th
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
Like I'm pretty happy with between 250 and 300 every week. So we thank everybody that listens, and please share it with as many people as you can that enjoy talking about cars or hearing about cars or playing with toy cars or playing with real cars.
Yep. So I am going to. Oh my God, I'm drifting. So you can follow me on Raced in Anger on Instagram, or there's a Raced in Anger Facebook page if you really want to. And I think that's it. So keep your cars analog.